What's up, guys? Welcome back to McDaniel Motorsports. Chris here. I am test fitting my new headers. These are from TTI. They are 2-inch primary with a 3-inch step down flange to basically, yeah. So it's 3.5 at the collector, and then these are 3-inch reducers. So I'm gonna run a dual 3-inch on the car. I've got the clearances. I think they've changed some stuff on these headers because everyone I know that's bought a set of these always has to clearance right in there on the bell housing. So they may have built that into these from now on. They might accept changes like that. It's hard to say, but there might be some slight variances too. I just got lucky, maybe, but I never get lucky, so they must have changed something. But really good fitment here. You're probably wondering why I didn't do a ceramic coating on them, and when I ordered them, they actually said that if you have ceramic on your headers and you do a startup and the engine is rich or lean or whichever one, it ruins the coating on the primaries, you know, and it goes back like maybe 3 or 4 inches and it discolors the ceramic. So and I also kind of planned on beating on them a little bit, but you can see where these are angled heads, so the plugs are at an angle, which makes it easier. It's by design, but as you can see, these are actually provisioned for straight plugs, and that's why they put these guys in here. So that's not a mistake, that's normal. But you can see where they did it on this guy. Let's see here, yeah, this guy too. So it's pretty cool. It keeps the heat away from the plug in the boot, which is really nice that they're thinking of that. So thanks, TTI. These headers do come with the fasteners, gaskets, and the step downs, so those were not extra. They do come at a price, which is a little steep, but you get what you pay for, in my mind. And these are the only guys that really truly have a handle on V-body, big blocks, and V-body cars. So I'm sure, from what I understand, the E-bodies are a nightmare. When you put a big block in an E-body, the plugs are impossible to get to and all that. But yeah, it's the B-body, luckily. But as you can see, I've just got 1 bolt here. I've got my gaskets in because that's important for fitment. If you try to fit them without the gasket, you're cheating yourself. So I've just got 2 in here. They're a little bit of ways away from here, just below the valve cover flange, but it'll be fine. But yeah, nice headers, really nice. Really happy with them. So on to the next thing. Last night I realized I didn't have a SD card when I came out to assemble the linkage on my transmission. So for those of you who are just joining, this is a Chrysler A833 4-speed. It's dubbed as the Hemi 4-speed because of the 18 spline input shaft into the back of the engine versus the 20 something spline. Someone corrected me on the last video. Thank you for that. I am not an expert. I just play one in real life. So, but we did do these guys in the cast coat gray, and I left the flags black. I kind of like the contrast. And again, we're not trying to make a perfect resto here, but it's nice. Within reason, nice. And then the competition shifter comes with this kit. This kit is from Brewer's Performance. I did not have a 4-speed. The car was born with a 727 torque flight, and the original to the car is actually right there, underneath that, right in there. Not really an automatic muscle car guy. I prefer 4-speed, even though it's probably faster in the quarter mile, but I'm not building a drag car, I'm building a race hell car. So yeah, so the Brewer's kit is very comprehensive. It did take 11 months to get. I was promised 9, which is kind of a bummer, but they did make it right and sent me this beautiful, gorgeous transmission. It is as nice as it could ever be, and I assure you these did not come looking like this from the factory. So but yeah, got the shifter handle on there. And for you Chrysler guys, I know it shouldn't have a pistol grip on it. It's only a 69. Pistol grips came out in 70. I'm okay with it, but this is for me. So, and it's something that if someone ever buys this car and they want to be correct, they could put the stock shifter back on the transmission, but when it's going to be in my hands, I want the pistol grip, just because. Why wouldn't I? But it shifts second, third, fourth, yeah. And it's really cool because when you're just in neutral, so neutral, how you know that all the linkages are correctly assembled, so you can make adjustments here on the length of them. But the shifter comes with this little piece right here, and when it's in there, you build the linkage shafts so they fit nice and neat. Then you put the washers and these stupid little clips. I poked my fingers so bad yesterday, I was bleeding all over the place. So there's definitely my DNA all over a few of these. But whoever invented these clips, I understand what you're doing, but come on, why do they have to be so miserable? So use needle nose pliers to put them on. That will save your fingers. Taking them off is easy. Just grab it and pull. It comes right off. So I gotta tighten this flag up right here, and I'm gonna try to mate these guys together. I had no luck the last time I tried to do it, so let's get to it. So as you saw before, I had the bell housing on here, and I just wasn't happy with how much effort it took to pull this alignment tool out. These are plastic. Ideally, I would recommend getting a real input shaft from a transmission builder. A lot of times they have them laying around, and they're actually better than these. These plastic ones they have a little bit more play, but that I'm way happier with this fitment here, because I tried to put the transmission input shaft in and it just wouldn't go. And I think what happened was the clutch disc was kind of fell down slightly, so I loosened up all the bolts with this thing in there and kind of worked it in and out after I got all the pressure off the springs. And now I'm working my way back over, and I'm tightening it in a crisscross pattern for the most part, just to get it set evenly. And I'll torque these as soon as I get it snowed down. And it's a dual disc for those of you who've not been following along. Got a significant amount of power here over stock, so it's important that we have a clutch that's up to the task. This is part of the 4-speed kit from Brewers. I just tell them the horsepower I'm making, the engine I'm going to mate the transmission to, and the car, and then they send everything, including a shifter bump out of sheet metal and a carpet kit. Believe it or not, they send you a full-on carpet kit, which is really cool, I think. I also learned that the output shaft on a 727 automatic is the same output shaft that the A833 takes, which is the 4-speed I'm using. So it's one thing I don't have to buy, because this is already a lot. There's nothing with Dodge Charger in the name that's cheap, if you haven't realized that. It's really no wonder they're fetching the numbers that they do. Alright, I think I got them all tight. Or snug, rather, not torqued yet. Just to confirm. Oh yeah, that's way easier. So the transmission will go in now, I'm pretty sure. So, alright, time to put the headers back on. Hopefully this angle works for you guys. Using some new GoPro holders or attachments got for Father's Day. Pretty cool. These are TTI headers, not sponsored, but I'm a fan. It's really cool. They come with gaskets and hardware, and you can even get them ceramic treated, but they warned me to not do a startup on an engine with ceramic coated headers because there's a chance that they could get discolored. So that's why I chose to go with a natural finish for now. And I kid you not, if I had elected to get the ceramic coat, it would have I probably would have had to beat on the headers at least a few times for spark plugs and, you know, fitment issues that normally you have. But these literally fell on to the engine. Like, I didn't have to grind anything, I didn't have to beat on anything. These literally are the first headers that I've ever put on a car that are perfect. So I am thrilled. Yes, you got to pay for these headers quite a bit, but you really do get what you pay for. And honestly, I have no motivation from any other, you know, reason to tell you that these are great headers, but there's a reason why these guys are out there and they're everywhere. They are good. And if you go through a local vendor, you don't have to pay that 3% credit card fee that they charge at TTI. Like, so for instance, you can call TTI and order headers directly, but for some reason they don't have I guess they accept PayPal only, and there's a 3% fee on top of that what you pay. So they just gave me a local vendor near me, and it ended up being Bob Mazzoloni, who's like a local drag racer here, and he's got a shop. Ended up being a super nice guy. I spoke with him for like 2 hours when I called and ordered my headers. So yeah, it's really interesting how you meet people in this industry, and most people are really cool and like-minded, more importantly. The second bolt is kind of difficult to get to, so I leave the bolts like threaded out so I can get the head of this bolt in, so I can get it started, because it's a tight, you guys, you can see it's a really tight fit in there. Basically just goes to a 90 right out of the port. And the tightening headers, just like an intake manifold, you want to start from the middle and work your way out. And so what that does is it sets the flange down in the middle first, and then you're basically tightening your way out. Luckily, I think these things are captured, or at least this one fastener is captured in there, so it won't fall out. Never got loose. As long as the front one doesn't fall out, we'll be good. But yeah, this is not going to be nearly as fun putting these back on in the car. I can promise that. Man, these flanges are so thick. Like 3/8. That's the thickest flange I've ever seen. Come on. Yeah, it's kind of the same deal for this guy, but you can actually access this one from the top. So that's a positive. That way. I'm doing some last minute detailing on this engine right now. We're painting the water pump again. I didn't like how it came out. I missed some spots. It's not the right orange, you know, the usual. And this is probably the first set of headers I've ever put on that didn't involve a different drain or a dipstick. Dipstick didn't even affect anything, which is crazy. That is a nice set of headers. Super happy with that. Let's check out the wheels. So these are them. This is one of the 15/8s. There's a little bit of scaling. Oops. Still getting used to this thing. There's a little bit of scaling, like right here. Probably can't see it on the film, but it's like, I don't know, where? Oh, it's upside down. How weird. Sorry. Like I'm anyway, there's a little bit of scale on them, but nothing that won't come out with a little bit of SS pad and some effort. But yeah, these are legit. And the best part about them is they're, says made in the USA or somewhere. Well, I lied, I guess. Prager Industries. Yeah. But yeah, they're the only bummer is that they're unilug. That's really the only bummer, but that doesn't bother me. With the right washers, you can't even tell when they're on the car, so no big deal. But I'm gonna hit a little wire wheel on this rust back here, and we're gonna paint over it so they stay nice over time. But the tires are just too small, so I don't know if I'm going to run them for a little bit, just something to burn off. But yeah, really happy. I got this 2 15/7s and 2 15/8s in this condition. This is the worst one for $900 with the tires, and I really just bought the wheels, but the tires came free, which is really cool, and they're date coded, about 4 years old, so it's not death to use them. But I guess it just depends on how silly they look, being too small for too big of a car, so we'll see. So these are the 7s. These are in really nice shape. They have no rust on them. These have 205, 75, 15 rubber on them. Really small. Look kind of funny for this car anyway, but this, I mean, you can see it's pretty good. I mean, the back spacing is just about perfect. It's sucked in quite a bit to the leaf spring here. You can kind of see, well, it's not much. There's about 3 or 4 inches between the leaf spring and the back of the tire, so the back spacing is pretty spot on. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I do want to try to run at least a 275 on this without, if it rubs, I don't know what I'm going to do. We'll see. But I really don't want to do any body work to get tires to fit. So it's a fine line. We'll see. So it's kind of difficult to get the throwout bearing on the fork of the throwout lever, if that's what you call it. So I'm going to take the boot off, this guy, And I'm going to try to install the throw-out lever on this clip in here. You can see that clip on the back of the lever slides on. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. There we go. There. Now, so pay attention to, this is biased toward, this arm is going to basically sit like this, which means this boot has to also be installed like this. So remind me. And this is a long debated topic here. So do I or do I not put my throwout bearing in before the trans? A lot of guys say put the throwout bearing on the trans and then just basically install the trans onto the bell housing and then put the fork in. The problem is I can't get my hands into the bell housing to put the fork on the throwout bearing. Hopefully that makes sense, but you can see how these clips go. These clips need to capture the throwout bearing. So throwout bearing will index like this, and so I need to be like that. The bearing is there, and when I slide the transmission in, hopefully it won't knock this bearing off and make it more difficult. I'm gonna leave the, a lot of guys will put grease on the end here, and the factory manual says do not put any grease on this guy. Yes, you can put a little bit of anti-seize on your throwout bearing because that's going to move obviously, but up here, if there's grease here, it'll sling all over your clutch plates and cause your clutch to slip. So just don't do it. I know it's going to be hard for you. It was hard for me, but I got it in yesterday, and this is the second time I'm going to do this. So and that means your shifting will be easier. If this goes in easy, that means your shifting will be easy. So keep that in mind. Remove my shift handle. Oh, just so you know. Reverse. First, second. Third, fourth. Wait. First, second, third, fourth. Just so we all are on the same page. I'm just taking this off because we're going to put it in the car. And I don't need to be fighting with this. What a beautiful piece though. They really have done a great job at reproducing these. Back in the bag. Big day today. We are planning to install the transmission and engine, which is one unit as of now. Got my trans cross member on there. It's loose. I took my collector extensions off. They're just kind of in the way. Now I got to put this cross member on that, which requires that to lift the engine up and give me enough room. And then once the cross member's on there, I'll set it back down on the dolly. And then we're going to do this lift. This is a kit provided to me by Chrisrobertmcdaniel. I paid for it, but I thought it was such a great kit. I thought it was really cool. A lot of people will put the transmission in the car first, and then they'll drop the engine in like this way, but you have to remove the hood, which I don't want to do. So I think every time I touch the paint, I scratch it. So I'm just trying to avoid that as much as possible because I worked my ass off to get this car where it is today. The one thing to note about these guys, so what they're designed to do, if you haven't seen Chris's video, these are genius in my opinion. So there's a factory hole underneath the front of the cross member here. It's right there. And this piece of tube work plugs right in there. And due to the variety of sizes that they stamp these at the factory, he even included a tape roll bit for a screw gun. You basically, it's the perfect size, and you basically just run it in there and clean up the hole to the diameter of these guys. I guess there's some variations with tube sizes these days, unfortunately, and so that's why he had to include that tape roll. And these little guys here are for basically jamming it to the frame. So all these guys are doing is basically keeping it from falling out. And because our car is painted, I came up with these little rubber squares here just to basically put, once it's on there, we'll slip them in there, and it'll protect the little screw from scratching the inside of the frame rail. So yeah, I know, I sweat the small stuff. That's okay though. That's just us. That's what we do. So pretty cool. I really like these things, and I hope I don't have to use them a lot, but it's nice to know I have them. So what we're doing now is we're going to secure the rear tires onto some of these guys, and so the car will strap the tire. The car will be sitting on those blocks on the tires, and we'll run a ratchet strap over the tires. This is what Chris recommends. And so when the car picks up, it'll be able to pivot and not have a chance of rolling back or getting crazy. So that is the plan. So here we go. And good morning. Thanks for coming. Cross member to engine. Take two. All right, that's at ride height. Pretty good. They don't look as small as I thought they would. So we're doing a ratchet strap, hopefully, around the whole tire. They don't fit.
Yeah, they're too short.
Okay. Go this way then, through the lug or through the hole, and go this way. Like wrap it this way, like through the wheel on the bottom, like the tow trucks.
Through here.
No, the bottom.
Oh, I see.
It's really more of a precaution. I doubt it'll move, but I'm not willing to take that chance. K-frame is on after a little bit of massaging. Mladen, thanks for doing all your diligence on that, by the way. There you go. Just to give it some snugness, so she don't roll forward. But that's perfect, because if the car would roll forward, it would yank on that strap. So that makes perfect sense. That was a test. You passed. All right. Do the other side.
You got another.
Yeah. Setting up. As soon as she's done with that, I'm going to roll this guy in, the hoist, and get her in position to lift this baby up. As far as I can. So let's go right out in. But I think it'll be okay. But the hook is getting away, so the hook out of the way. As much as you can, because that's the highest part of the frame there. So it's hopefully goes out. I hope. That's what I'm saying. Well, okay. Good. So, okay. Okay. Battery ran out. Here we are. Man, perfect measurement. Perfect.
Say so?
Oh, grab a... it's fine. I was gonna say tighten those bolts that go into the transmission, but we'll get that.
Okay.
All right, back to the hoist.
Can I lower this jack?
Yeah. Yeah. Right here, and just turn on the here. So here's so people don't want to do it. So one is coming there. Hey guys, welcome back. Chris here. So I am super happy. The engine and trans is one unit bolted together, of course, and it's in the car. And before I tighten the engine mounts and the transmission cross member mounts fully, I gave it a full 360-degree rotation just to make sure, because the one thing I didn't do is inspect if the dipstick interferes with the crank. So obviously it's a stroker, so it has less clearance than a regular crank would. So I did put it in there and I rolled it over, a full revolution, and doesn't make any noise. So I tightened down the rear cross member, the bolts that go up from the bottom, and then there's a stud from the urethane mount that pokes through, that I tightened that one, and then I tightened the engine mounts, hopefully for a while. I don't want to say for good, obviously, but we'll just say they are done for now. So